"24 hours it is in a day." And indeed, for a lot of people, this seemed to be like a burden for them because they always wanted to get off every day so that they could just get accomplished in one way or the other. For some people, and for most people, I must say, 24 hours seems to be not really enough. But the fact is, which of course is the bad news, you cannot have more than 24 hours in a day. But the good news is that no matter what it is, it's 24 hours, you are the pilot. So you decide on what to do with your 24 hours every day, 7 days every week, and of course 30, 28, 29, 31 days in a month, and of course the days in the year. There you are. This is Reflections reaching you from the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA. My name is Yusuf Nadab Usman. This week, we shall look at time and space, in between which lie a huge area of activities, and people in between. Today, we shall look at the issues surrounding a personality within time and space, and then see what you're able to make out of it in the search for notable Nigerians who have touched so many lives in so many different ways. My guest is, a writer. He is a publisher, a public affairs analyst, he's a media consultant, he's a negotiator, a community leader, and an ambassador. I would rather call him Ambassador Extra Plenty. We'll get to know why I use that phrase. I will seek permission later in using that phrase as we continue. My guest is the 71-year-old Dr. Paddy Kemdi Njoku. Welcome to Reflection, sir.
Thank you very much, Yusuf. My pleasure.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Right. So, I've just touched on a little about you. And before we really get neck deep into this very discussion, people will start asking who this writer is, who this publisher is, who this public affairs analyst is. A little about your background can suffice here. Can you tell us who exactly you are?
I think it's a huge question to be able to say who I am in a few words. But like I told one great man in Nigeria that I am a son of indigent, illiterate parents who got to where I am today, not by the intervention of any godfather, but by the intervention of God the Father. That said, it means that I've been through thick and thin in the race of life. And looking back now, I enjoyed all of it.
Okay.
Because I've come to realize at my age now that every challenge that comes to you, if you manage very well, may lift you higher. But if you despair and lose hope, you may be stopped by that challenge and you start decrying that all your life. So I'm a village boy from Ovurumbisen in Imo State.
All right.
And I started primary school in my village. And we did not have standard 6 facilities to finish primary school in that particular school.
When exactly did you start the primary school?
Around 1950, 58 or so.
All right.
You know, that time, how they used to measure our age. They will ask you to do like this.
Put your hand, touch your...
If you can touch your ear, then it means you are mature enough to go.
Right.
So we entered a school called Native Authority School. And by the time I got to I finished standard 3, going to 4, it was realized that I couldn't take my first school leaving certificate examination in that school because we didn't have the facility. So I had to move to another school. And why am I telling you this story?
Right.
When we moved, we thought it was a great punishment. But having moved to that school, I now encountered a headmaster who played a major role in my life.
Okay.
Because I finished primary school in his school, and in my standard 5 and 6, he used to, from time to time, leave the whole class under my watch whenever he was going out, and he would say that I should be teaching them something, and that inspired me. So much so that he insisted that I must go to secondary school.
Now, before you proceed,
yes,
he insisted that you lead them, or you teach
them.
No. You teach them in his absence.
In his absence, yes.
And if I should look at your stature at the moment,
yes,
looking smallish.
Yes.
I want to look back then, looking how small you were then.
Exactly.
Were there no bigger ones, or was it the bigness in the head?
Yeah, it was not a physical bigness. I started secondary school. My senior brother was working in the European club in Port Harcourt then as a steward. He was paying for me. The war came. Of course, we stopped schooling. But my father died during the war. My brother lost his job. So after the war, and I registered in another school closer to the house because I couldn't go as far as I was before, where I lived in Borden. There was nobody to pay school fees for me. And let me add that the most, able person that could do that was a headmaster from my village, whose primary school, was in the place where I also registered for the secondary schooling.
Okay.
So in the morning, every day, I would go to him to say, "Sir, can I get the fees and pay?" He would say, "Follow me." His cyclist would carry him on the bicycle, and I would be running and following them for 30-something miles. We did this for almost 2 months. And whenever I got to his school, he would go around and say, no, there's nothing today. We'll do the same thing tomorrow. So by the time I get to my my secondary school, they would have done 2 or 3 lessons. And they would punish me for coming late.
Oh my God.
Late coming. After the late coming, I would do the punishment, grass cutting. Then I would go into the class. Then they would come to check for school fees.
Right.
And I would be sent out because
you didn't pay.
I hadn't paid. Then I would go out, hang around somewhere. When they finish checking, I would manage to squeeze into the class again. Next burden was the French master would come in, because the 4th lesson also was his own, and he would be asking everybody, "Oui, vous, comment vous appelez-vous? Vous venez de quel village?" Then, when he got to me, I would say, "I'm sorry, sir."
What was he asking? You couldn't just get the French word.
Yes, what is your name and which place do you come from?
Okay.
So because they had been doing French in that school before the war and before I came, my second language I was doing in my previous school was Latin. So whenever he asked me and I said I didn't know French, he would say, "Sortez de la classe, idiot."
Meaning?
Will you get out of the class, idiot?
Wow.
Then the boys would be laughing at me. When I asked them, what does he mean? They would say, you are a fool. You don't know French. You come and sit with us here, pretending that you're in Form 3. Will you get out? So I didn't take it badly. I would now go and borrow books from Form 1 students, Form 2, to be reading in a foreign language, and Form 3. So after school, I'll carry my bag on my head and walk 30-something miles back to my village, but I'll be reading these things. Long story short, when we now took our school certificate, West African school certificate, in 1972 in that school, and that my headmaster was the one who helped me pay my way through before my senior brother could find another job. So the results came out, and I made an A3 in French.
Right, A3.
And then 5 of us made Division 1 in that school, and I was one of them.
Okay.
So that background, that I said, okay, suppose we hadn't changed school in primary 4, I wouldn't have met this headmaster.
You wouldn't.
So most of the time, like they say, God works in mysterious ways. And because of that humiliation the French master gave me in that school, calling me an idiot, somebody who got a certificate of merit in virtually all subjects from his former school, I now got determined to prove to him that I was not an idiot. That was how I made an A in French. And still went ahead and took a first degree in French and made a first-class average in French.
So the prompt was the French teacher?
Yeah.
Right.
Which, if you misread and misunderstood, you will hate the man and hate his subject. But God works in mysterious ways. Things prompt us in life, but if we can take them positively, appreciate how incomprehensible God is, we can make better use of most obstacles we meet in life.
Right.
And that French eventually helped me because it exposed me to the world, that I had to live in France, I had to live in Cameroon, and I visit most Francophone countries. And today, if you throw me anywhere in the world, I am very much at home linguistically and culturally.
This country is having a deficit of peace at the moment.
Yes.
Insecurities all over the place. And then people are just talking and talking and talking, government doing its own part to the best it can so far. As a peace builder, as a peace maker, and as somebody who really negotiates for peace always, dreams, eats, drinks peace, how do you feel about the situation?
Thank you for bringing this up. It's worrisome to somebody like me because I feel that we could do better.
Right.
In conflict resolution, what we normally assume as given is that no two people are exactly the same. And for those two people to stay in the same place peacefully, there must be give and take. If I expect you to be me, then it wasn't necessary for God to have created me. Because we are all, the 7-point-something billion people in the world are individuals. That's how our thumbprint is unique to us. Our voice timbre is unique to us. God created it that way. So, our behaviors, our characters are like that. If you don't create a give and take situation, you can never rest wherever you are. And there are, if you like, no very successful nations, no very powerful nations. What you have are nations who are able to manage their differences well and get on. The United States of America, for example, it's not a nation. There are people gathered from all over the world under different circumstances. But today they are there because of this give and take. They seem to be making more progress than so many other people. So in my own country, what I always say is that if we cannot get close to you and say, Yusuf, what is making you behave like this? We may never understand you. And if we decide to ignore you, you may also get more irritated that you can say, we can never sleep soundly as long as you are ignored. Can you imagine what a single mosquito can do to you, as small as it is and as giant as you are? That small mosquito can say, Yusuf will never sleep this night. Each time you close your eyes, you say, Mwah, then you slap yourself. And it goes away.
It gives you double tragedy.
Give double tragedy. Then after some time it comes again. So this is how society functions.
In a nutshell, you're saying that we need to have more tolerance.
Sorry for that. I don't like that word tolerance.
Right.
I always use accommodation.
More accommodation. Right.
Yeah, because when you are looking for a house now, people ask you, what are you looking for? You say you are looking for accommodation. You are not looking for where they will tolerate you. Let us accommodate each other with our little differences here and there. You tolerate what you don't like. You can tolerate it. But you accommodate your neighbor. And you people build a better neighborhood. And I think we should develop that mentality, that accommodation mentality. I've talked on your TV so many times that when I see Nigerians in their different ways, when they're displaying culturally, I see how the Yoruba man with his agbada will dance and for it like this. So it makes me happy and proud then because after watching them, I see the thief man who will be moving like this as if there's no bone in him.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Are you getting it?
Yeah, sure.
Then my friend, I won't name him now, asked me, said, you Nyamiri people, what is wrong with you? When you are dancing, you dance with so much force as if it's boxing. I said, that is the variety that God has put in the same place. God in his infinite wisdom did not make all of us dance the same way, speak the same way. Mind you, apart from our dialects, we also, what in linguistics, have what we call idiolect.
Okay.
Your idiolect is the special way in which you speak, which most people may not imitate. I mean, may not be able to imitate. It's given to you. So we have to accommodate the differences of the people God has given us. You are a gift to me, if you understand me well. But I'm a gift to you if I understand you well. So if you see me and automatically you develop a negative mentality, you punish yourself and you despise me, and if I make more effort, you may tolerate me but not accommodate me.
Doctor, for the past 60 or so years, this country has been in existence.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't want to believe that there hasn't been much accommodation. I don't want to use the toleration again anymore. Much accommodation in this country. What's really happening there for 60 years? We're still trying to think we should accommodate instead of moving forward.
One major thing happened, and I may be wrong, but that's my analysis. There's a book called From the Bottom of the Barrel. It's the study of how countries that depend on mineral resources cease to develop.
Okay.
That book looked at virtually all the countries. Those ones that have petrol don't know that what they have upstairs is more than what they have under the ground. And so they start fighting for what is under the ground, fighting for positions, applying exclusion, and therefore not finding out the best among themselves to move like a team forward.
That's using the top now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You see what happens in our football matches. When Nigeria is playing somewhere, you don't bloody care which player comes from, but the boy that runs and scores the goal becomes our hero.
Yeah, sure.
We hail him.
Yeah, at the end of the day, when we win, we hail them and we are all together as one.
Together as one, because we went to struggle to get some, to fight for something, get it, get honor. But when they bring back the cup and we want to now celebrate them, you now bring quota, say, get this one from this state, the other one from the other state, so that because we are now coming to eat and drink, you start discriminating against certain people who should come or who should not come. So the moment our economy became an underground resource economy, nobody wants to bring Yusuf in, because if they bring him in, he will come and share and go. So that has been an overriding factor in the unity and in the accommodation you are talking about of moving forward. When you enter an aeroplane, for example, you don't ask whether the pilot is from your village, because you want somebody who can fly you to your destination, somebody who is well trained, has the requisite experience, and conscious enough to make sure that you land in safety. But this statecraft, okay, one statecraft carrying the 200 million people in Nigeria, you want your brother to go and pilot it, even when you know that your brother is epileptic, is a drunkard, is he doesn't see well. You say, provided it's my brother. This is part of the problem. And they don't want to listen when you tell them, sir, God is not stupid to have brought us together. Let's create room for everybody. And there are only two ways. They think you are coming to snatch the booty. And that is why, unfortunately, a lot of the people you would have expected that have something here to offer the country, they now withdraw themselves and go into their shells. And the country continues suffering, the nation continues suffering. And once some of those other people get there, their tribesmen now start developing a superiority attitude. And it irritates the other ones the more. So division, disunity, continues multiplying instead of people coming together.
I need to ask you this question, which is very paramount and very dear to my heart. Whenever, in the lots of interviews I have a lot of people talking about, this accommodation you said,
Yes.
and to a very great extent, providing solutions to this country's problems. And along the line, we've come to understand that a lot of those who talk outside the corridors of power find themselves muddled up in the corridors of power when
Yes.
they get in there.
Yes.
What's the problem with that corridor? There's so much takes somebody away from himself as, somebody positively thinking and talking before he gets into the corridor.
Very interesting. There are psychological factors, there are social factors. In an atmosphere that is poverty infested, once people get lifted to a certain level, they start feeling godlike. Something seems to go wrong with their normal pre-status reasoning. And that is why they say that dictators, for example, like to sow poverty so that nobody can be confident enough to challenge them. If everybody is poor and everybody is looking for who can give him just a dime to eat, they thrive. The dictators, the oppressors. So, even you will notice it. When you get into certain milieu, and some of those puffy characters feel that you are coming, your presence will devalue their ego. They find a way of yes, putting you at a distance so that they can puff as much as they want. So there is that. When you elevate people, most of the time, they can't walk alone. We appoint your minister tomorrow. You are going to work with a permanent secretary. You are going to work with directors. You may have your best of intentions, but these people will tell you, sorry, this is the way we do it in this ministry. We have been doing it in this ministry. If you want to show them that you are so intelligent, you are so experienced, they frustrate you until you get down to your knees. That is one aspect. Even presidents can get elected. That's why what they read in their manifestos and so on and so forth is not eventually what you get from them.
It's difficult for them
to implement, and you start wondering. So, we have that factor. And they have realized that the poorer the people get, the bigger they themselves feel, because everybody now looks up to them like a god, and prays to them and honors them, and an event all you hear is His Excellency, this, that. You don't know what the person is excellent in. So, there's that aspect. The next aspect is that we are not a productive economy. We are a consumptive economy. And so everybody is now waiting for the state. When I was growing up, as you were saying, we didn't know what the budget was. Nobody cared about whether they made a budget or not. But today what we do is that if we sell this number of barrels of oil, we'll get so much, we'll divide it according to the state. Nigeria is one of the rare places where people hear every month that, oh, after the FAC meeting, federal government got this got this got this, local government got this. Eh? So it affects our mentality. And people no longer work. I was addressing the Northern Governors Forum sometime, and I told them, look, Your Excellencies, with due respect and humility, the work that 19 of you are doing now was done by Sardauna of Sokoto alone. And there was no deputy premier. The governor was a ceremonial person. There was one House of Assembly in Kaduna and the House of Chiefs. That's all. The man was going around the whole of what you now call the North, visiting secondary schools, establishing university of this, Doba Hotel and this and this. But today, what do you have?
And majorly by road.
By road.
Majorly by road.
Not just majorly. Could you? Where would you fly to? So, today, you now have 19 governors. Office of the governor has its own budget. 19 deputy governors. Retinue of staff. Then, 19 houses of assembly, 19 speakers, 19 deputy speakers. One governor was said to have had more than 1,000 SAs and EAs and PAs. So what is happening is that you now look up to whoever is in a position. You forget about what God has given you here. I used to tell people that when I was a student in France, they used to say, en France, on n'a pas de pétrole, on a des idées. In France, we don't have petrol, we have ideas. And with their ideas, they were really the people who had petrol. But now, we have abandoned all the gifts that God gave us and put here in every head among the 200 million people. And then we are looking at how much petrol they will, crude oil, they will say they dug out. And mind you, it's not being necessarily operated by us. What they tell us is what we think we've got. And then they go there, where we sell it, they decide how much they buy it. Well, the way out, I'm afraid, is that we may have to review our governance system. Because before our colonizers came, what we used to practice in Africa was consensual communalism, where the community got together and arrived at a consensus and did things without employing 1,000 distinguished and honorable and this and this and that. If they met and said, Yusuf, please go and do this, you felt it was an honor, you would do it without extra charges to the society, because it's not everybody that is honored like that. You know, this our democracy that we are practicing today. It's a miscopy and misspaced democracy, in the sense that we didn't know how the people who were practicing it in their place, their cultural background, their social background, we just carried hook, line, and sinker and put on our heads. In most of those societies, they're industrial economies where everybody goes to work. So they need to elect some people who take care of things when they are at work. Most of the time, 90%, 95% of the people are employed. And they pay taxes and pay social security to the other people, whom they now ask, look, form yourselves into groups so that you can administer our taxes, provide light, road, water, education for the children. So those people now got to be called out. People went to the stadium, who spoke best, most eloquently, they elected him. Because they don't have communities don't have extended families like you and I. But look at our case. 5% of the people are employed. 95 are idle. Then you tell them go and form political parties. What will happen is that the loudest shouting people will come and monopolize the political parties, and whoever can, that has the highest nuisance value will take over. The others will now become slaves behind them. And like I told you, because 90% of the people are unemployed, everybody now wants to depend on these people and whatever they are bringing home. So we should look through the whole thing again. Does it fit us? China is moving ahead. Huh? That's why when you tell them, okay, do elections, they say, no. It may waste our time and this and that. We have this. And this is look, in your family, Yusuf, do you do elections in your family?
My family members don't know about elections.
Exactly. So you get together and say, this is good for the family. Everybody says, we need to build a house here. And they do it. So we are wasting so much time, energy, and resources in putting in place shaky democratic infrastructures.
Actually, you are in a way saying there should be a rethink about the system, whether we can produce a system that's homegrown and then can really deliver for our people, because we are just our own people, not other people.
Thy own mouth has said it.
Thank you so very much, sir. You're watching Reflections. We are reaching you from the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA. My name is Yusuf Abuja. I'm discussing with Dr. Paddy, Kemdi, Njoku, writer, publisher, and of course, calling me everything. He's a peacemaker and a peace negotiator, conciliator.
When Shagari wanted to make me a minister, he called me. He said, I want you to develop and deliver still the life of my administration. I said, sir, do you have that much confidence in me? He said, yes. This was a politician now talking. And I did. And I delivered still to Nigeria in six months' time.
I'm committed to a united Nigeria where nobody is discriminated against on the basis of his religion or tribe.
Njoku didn't want any settlement. He didn't want to come back to Nigeria, to return Eastern region. He was bent on secession.
Have we really learned lessons from the Civil War?
We have not. And I'll tell you. And the main people who have not learned, let him say it. It's you people.
We who?
The journalists.
I really want to get started with one issue, and that is your Spectrum Books Days.
Yes.
Here you are, amidst books. The trade here is knowledge. So,
Yes.
Spectrum Books Days.
Yes.
I told you that I met at first class average in the university. So the head of the department said, nobody should have a first class in a foreign language. So a lecturer defended my course and said, look, he made the first class in French in this department. This guy got annoyed and resigned and started a publishing company. So when I then graduated and finished my youth service, he told me to come work with him. And naturally, I felt obliged to work with him. That was how my publishing, career started. And the magazine was called Career Lines, trying to advise people on careers to follow. Then I went to Spectrum Books to get an advert for them to put in the magazine.
Where was Spectrum Books then?
Ibadan. And this our magazine was also in Ibadan. So I went to Spectrum Books. I approached the managing director. He said, look. Can I tell you something? I said, please go ahead, sir. He said, you came for me to buy advert from you, but I will buy you. You have to work for Sweathand because I want to employ you. I said, please, sir, kindly give me the advert first.
Right.
Let's publish it. I can then talk to my managing director, and I can take up a career in book publishing, which Spectrum Books is doing. He agreed. We did like that, and then he gave me an appointment as an educational representative north of Spectrum Books. What did that entail? I would travel to every local government education secretary and show them our list of publications. I'll visit every institution of higher learning in the north and solicit those who have manuscripts to publish and suggest to those I felt should write books. And I would do that around the north. I would leave at the beginning of the month, go around and come back at the end, go back and produce my report, get my impressed and move off again. But get something.
And which year was that first?
This was in 1979, 80, 81, and so on and so forth. But that was, I think, a very interesting part of my life. You know why?
How interesting.
I had a Volkswagen. I had a driver, but I loved driving. So leave Ibadan, go through Shaki, go through Ilorin, and then head for Sokoto. From Sokoto, we'll be going to all these big Alcar and Moda, Talata, Mafara, and all that. We'll go around and around and around. Very interesting. I loved driving. And then we'll be sleeping in all these government rest houses, right. And then one thing I can't forget is that in Meduguri, we would stay under those melina trees, take a drink, okay? By around 11 p.m., we hit the road for Yola. Okay?
Along Bama
Road, you know, pass through View and all those places, and go through Hong and all those places and get to Yola, and then go to the university there, do work, then in the evening we'll go for a drink under the bridge in Yola. Okay? And it was so interesting. And it's now, I wonder what Nigerians are.
I have to ask you this. Were you in Mobi at the point?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Right. I was in Mobi. I used to sleep in the GRV government rest house there. You know? And then I made friends all over.
And over you were at movie club there.
Yes, naturally. But that's the place, you know. So
I just brought in this in order to see to really get one or two of the escapades in this kind of movements.
No, it was so interesting. But what should strike you is that there were not many checkpoints and all that. What are you checking? Nobody's attacking anybody. And what I used to love most is when I'm driving at night like that, I'll see the moonlight over the horizon. You look to infinity and this nice countryside under the moonlight. Wonderful. You can't get it anywhere. Okay? You get to Yola, finish, get out to Makodi, then drive down to Ibadan. Then the month had ended. I'll get back and do my report, present. So when I did it for some time, they now promoted me to area manager north. And I was based in Zaria. My house was in Venesu, opposite the campus. And then my office was there in town. And I was doing the same thing all around. It made me, feel that Nigeria was in my pocket in terms of movement and friends. And, so when I look at the young ones of nowadays who have been compartmentalized into states and local governments. That's why I call them, they are now Statians, they are not Nigerians. Because immediately before you do it, they're from which state? So that was it.
You know, it strikes me whenever I talk to people like you who've seen these good, glorious days of Nigeria, and they're still living today, and talking to those who might have not have imagined these things being real at the time. You that have seen it then, and you're seeing it now. I mean, what's the feeling inside you? Because even movement now within town, within the area, is a bit of a problem.
I feel miserable. Honestly. You know, from what I was telling you, I started my university career in the University of Ibadan, just campus. Do you get it?
Yeah.
By that time, it was Benue Plateau State, East Central State, and all of that. We were family. You will get there, you know, and everybody, nobody cared to know where you came from. Is how does Yusuf relate with people? So when they created the University of Jos, we now moved to Ibadan like a family. All of us, who were in Jos campus, moved like one family. And we got there. You can imagine, it was the era when somebody like John Nyawoli just came from the East, entered the University of Ibadan, campaigned for presidency, beat his Yoruba opponent, because if not, he could deliver. That was the country we had. And so, if I see you say, oh, you come from Talata Mafra, I'll tell you where the rest house is, and this and that, and that was it. You know where you come from, Sokoto, I'll ask you about 2-3 landmarks there. For me, this is my country. That's what was inside my head.
Dr. Paddy, we started talking about conflicts.
Yes.
And as somebody who has really been at the center of conflict resolution in this country,
Yes.
you have a peace foundation, you have a peaceman in your house.
Yes.
Tell us, conflicts all over the place in Nigeria. Northeast, northwest, southeast, all over. Everywhere you go is conflict.
Yes.
From the standpoint of a person like you, how would you advise, or what is your take, I must say, from the beginning, what is your take on these issues of conflict in this country?
There's a saying that you shouldn't allow the poor and hungry to increase in number, because when the poor and hungry, when the poor are hungry, they eat the rich.
Oh, okay.
And we're experiencing it everywhere. Conflicts are like cancer. They metastasize, they spread. And when cancer metastasizes, it becomes more difficult to treat in the new site than where it originated from. And this is what we're experiencing now.
Oh.
Once there is general malaise and ill feeling, people can give it different names in different places and express their ill feeling. And the idle mind, naturally, is the devil's worship. We have not been able to construct a welfare state whereby the idle are taken good care of by the state. And so all these idle people all over the place are looking for one thing or the other to hang on to. And any cause they see around themselves, they hang on to and start posing a problem. And once they can become a nuisance to those who feel that they are comfortable, they themselves now feel happy.
At the beginning of this program, I introduced you as without any permission anyway. I will seek the permission right now to keep using the word, at least for the sake of this interview. Ambassador Expert Plenty. And referring to issues like you are the ambassador for peace, Universal Peace Federation. You're also ambassador of Teachers Without Borders.
Yes.
And these are extraordinary ambassadorship, I must say. Now, against the background of what you've been talking about, peace and education, and maybe statistics, how would you prefer, or what solution would you give in this regard? Personally, as a peace ambassador, personally, as Teachers Without Borders ambassador, because the two go hand in hand.
Yes. I think we should do more outreach. We shouldn't give people the impression that they don't matter. If we give that impression, they will want to prove to us that they matter. Peace building demands efforts on the peace building because the person you are trying to convert doesn't have your mindset. But if you approach that person and give him or her a little inkling that he matters, starts feeling remorseful for the things he has done and can now help you open up and tell you how to solve the problems. And unfortunately, I think we have been lacking in this area, lagging behind.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Paddy Njoku. You're watching Reflections, reaching the Congratulating Intelligent Authority. We'll now take a break. We'll be back in a moment.
Hope itself is life. Once you lose hope, you lose life.
What would you attribute this backwardness in education to in the North to date?
I feel balai.
What's right is right, what's wrong is wrong.
The program is Reflections. And then, in all things we do as Africans and of course as human beings, we cannot make that natural. It's just part of us. It's something. You just have to look at that. You are a religious person, undoubtedly. What is the position of religion in conflict resolution in Nigeria?
I think we should stretch our hands and involve religious leaders in peace building, in conflict resolution, in mediation, instead of staying in their corners and stoking the fire of conflict. Because when the fire gets out of hand, it can burn everybody.
But doctor, haven't the authorities that be, and of course the religious leaders, come together in this regard, as we can see?
Apart from the calling that you are referring to, that we see on national television and the media, it has to trickle down so that the average Christian knows that the average Muslim is his fellow creature. And the average Muslim appreciates the other person, not just as an infidel, but a fellow creature that God has, made. Like I said, God created you as a gift to me. The things you're doing for and with me today, I couldn't have done them for myself. And so I have to appreciate you. And please, we mustn't expect everybody to be like us. If everybody was to be like me, the world would be so monotonous. I wouldn't enjoy everybody. I wouldn't even go out because when I go out, I'll meet me. No. So we need to pass that message.
Dr. Paddy, Kemdi, Njoku, we thank you so very much for being part of the production of this one. Thank you so very much. It's been Reflections on the Nigerian Television Authority. Next week is going to be another time for the program. Until then, I'm Yusuf Adabu.